Welcome to Now That's Smokin'. I'm Kel Phelps, your host, bringing over 30 years of barbecue passion as publisher of Barbecue News Magazine and also managing partner now of the National BBQ and Grilling Association. From my younger days on the competition circuit to helping lead the barbecue and grilling industry, I'm here to share some of the untold stories, spark plenty of laughs, and maybe even share a few tips or tricks you may not even know yet from some of the biggest names in the barbecue world. Join me as we take a deep dive into barbecue's heart and soul with the Now That's Smokin' interview series. Hey guys, welcome. Now That's Smokin' episode 4 already, man. It's flying by, but got a special treat for you for sure. If you're not sure who Christie Vanover is, you're going to find out today all the ins and outs and maybe even a few secrets and details you didn't know. But Christie's built one of the most inspiring and definitely versatile barbecue businesses in the country. She's a barbecue champ, recipe creator. She works with tons of brands, creating recipes for their stuff, reviewing their products, teaching how-to videos and such as that. Not only that, she's got her rubs out on the market and is always on the road somewhere showing off, showing up and showing out, I guess. But anyway, with that, Miss Christie, welcome to Now That's Smokin', the interview series. We're glad to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. Good to see you again.
Always great to hang out with you. I know you live on the other coast, so it's a long way. So it's amazing that the different, how we keep up with each other now through social media and such as that. But it doesn't seem like it's 3,000 miles apart. But
yeah, for those who don't know, I'm out in Las Vegas. So yeah, definitely not necessarily known as a barbecue center of the world, but yeah, we do our best out here.
Hey, listen, you guys have got it killer, man. Some of the best barbecue I've ever eaten in my life was there when Mike Mills had his restaurant out by the Air Force Base there. And,
yes.
oh my goodness.
I missed that restaurant. That was so good.
Great stories there for sure. So, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, pay a few bills, and we'll get started here real quick.
From serious backyarders to caterers, food trucks, and restaurants, cookersandgrills.com builds custom barbecue pits to fit your needs. We're talking top-of-the-line smokers, grills, and mobile units. Custom built to your specs, finished right, and ready to feed any crowd. Cookersandgrills.com, where great barbecue begins.
All right, guys, back from the break, and Christie Vanover, all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, joining us today. And so we'll just jump right in. Christie, when did you fall in? When did you start grilling and live fire cooking, girl?
Yeah, well, the first time I probably started grilling was in the 90s, but I didn't know what I was doing, failed miserably, and then just kind of stopped grilling and just, continued cooking indoors and things along those lines. Didn't really pick up grilling until about 2010 when I lived in Texas, of all places, because I don't know, somehow just like when you live in Texas, you got to figure out how to grill and barbecue. Still didn't really know what I was doing back then, but definitely started to get a spark for it. And then it was about 2012 when I competed at the World Food Championships. I think I did the sandwich category that year, and I walked on over to the barbecue section where the pitmaster competitors were, and I was like, this is something I want to learn more about, something I want to figure out. And then from there, I just kind of got the bug, kind of started experimenting, and then I officially launched Girls Can Grill in 2015 and started competing on the KCBS circuit in 2017.
Well, there you go, man. You never really know where somebody's at in their journey, but that's fairly new. I mean, compared to me, I started when I was 10 years old, and my first smoker when I first moved out was a I don't know, $20 job, leak there, and I cooked a brisket at about 450 degrees without really knowing that you could do it that way, and my dog wouldn't even eat it. So when you talk about barbecue fails, I've been there and know all about the barbecue fails.
It's so interesting though, because like what you said is my experience. So when I, back in the early, probably maybe late 90s, early 2000s, I was curious about barbecue, and I got one of those $99 offset smokers from Walmart, thinking this is really cool. I think I loaded it with mesquite wood, not knowing anything. I don't even think I put charcoal in there. I think it was like a bag of mesquite wood. And it was so bad. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And now obviously the air, it all leaked out. The wood was the wrong choice. And so I think that is partially what led me to want to create Girls Can Grill and to teach people, because everybody has these intentions of what it should be, light wood on fire and put meat on the grill. But there's so many more little nuances to it that if you don't know them, you might be turned off from barbecue because your first experiments might be fails. And then if you actually learn the right techniques, or some of the techniques that will get you to success, then that can make all the difference.
And people forget, when you're talking about the late 90s, middle 90s, internet, you could get it then, but there was nothing out, and that was the cool thing about doing the barbecue news with Daddy and Doc. My gosh, that was my dad. I had to learn. Mm-hmm. And so trying to figure it out, I wasted a lot more money on meat than I was supposed to, learning how all the details and tips and tricks. But thank goodness it finally soaked in. But
Stephen Reichlin's Barbecue Bible is really kind of the foundation of what taught me some of those basics. Because like you said, you couldn't Google how to barbecue back then. There were no videos other than an occasional Bobby Flay episode that might show up on Food Network. But we taped on our VHS tapes. Totally dating myself now.
That's it. Yeah. Set the timer.
Yeah.
Yep. Used to set the timer for some of those early shows. But yeah. So let's talk about that. You talked about a little bit about what got you going or whatever, but since you started, and of course, hey, listen, if anybody knows, I know Girls Can Grill. I've seen it. I probably my first experience was Texas, when we started going out there watching events, and you'd see these husband and wife teams, and they would, the wife would be cooking right beside him, but she'd have her own team. And it'd be like, well, we figured out we couldn't cook together. She wanted to do her thing, so she just jumped over there and started doing her thing and kicking our butt. So I've seen that Girls Can Grill, no doubt. But talk about some of the trials, and if there has been any, and how that business model, man, you have created a huge business model there that started from just wanting to teach people how to do barbecue. How has all that progressed?
Yeah, well, the whole Girls Can Grill kind of mantra started because there just weren't a lot of women in barbecue in the public space. I'm sure there were a lot of women grilling at home, cooking at home, but just like I said, at the time when I was kind of learning how to barbecue myself, there wasn't really a lot out there. Leanne, BBQ, some obviously Amy and Melissa, some of those legendary folks were out there, but not a lot. And so just like I talked about earlier, like there was Stephen Reichlin's cookbook, there was Bobby Flay's show. And I was learning. I didn't know what I was doing at the time in the, early 2000s. And I realized that maybe it would help other people who were interested if they could connect with somebody and kind of like see a face that kind of looked like them, another woman in the space. And that was the initial start of it all. And I was really apprehensive because I didn't know if I was pigeonholing myself, like if guys would be interested in what I had to say. And what I kind of found is that we make gender assumptions that maybe girls don't grill. This was back 10, 15 years ago. So we made those gender assumptions, but we also made assumptions that guys could grill. And I have found throughout my business that there are a lot of guys who people assume they know how to grill. And so they feel a little apprehensive about asking for advice. Like, hey, how do I do a brisket? I'm supposed to know how automatically. And so I think what I've been able to do is make things basic, approachable for anybody who's starting out, just trying to figure this whole fun sport out, whether it's a competition side or just cooking in your backyard. So yeah, my name is kind of, about women, but it really is like anybody can grill. If you just take the time and get the right advice, anybody can do this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And there's, you know, some of the best stuff I learned was from screwing up, and
Right.
it's not like riding a bicycle where you break your neck and then you're like, oh no, I'm done. I'm never getting back on that again. So definitely not like that. But failing is part of it, and it comes with the territory. But
Mhm.
no doubt, folks who are willing to helping hand and show proven techniques and simplify them. So it's not like a competition recipe with 40,000 different steps. It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try
So
on my website, I definitely try to have pictures of every step. A lot of times there's a video that goes along with it. I try to use ingredients that you can go get at your grocery store. Now, obviously, for my competition style tips that I have on my website, they are going to be more advanced and they are going to include ingredients that you may not find at your local grocery store, like phosphates and stuff like that. But for the
right.
most part, yeah, like even if you're a new backyard cook and you're like, I see this, I'm interested, I want to compete on the circuit, you think that, hey, everybody on my block says that my brisket is the best, my ribs are the best, let's turn it in and see what happens. And then you get that punch in the face that is not what the judges are looking for. So I want to kind of break that down and help prep you to at least turn in a box that's going to not land you at the bottom, give you some expectations before you go in.
Absolutely. And that is, man, I can't tell you how many people will have just showed up just out of the blue, a Weber kettle, maybe a pellet grill or two, and wound up middle of the field, maybe even walked, their
Yeah.
first time. And in this, in the state cook-off, you've actually hosted a couple of steak events out there. That's a normal thing there.
Yeah.
To see a brand new guy walk, but
Mhm.
they've had a chance to practice. And of course, I always said giving food away to the neighbors, that's the worst test in the world, because there's never any bad food that's free coming from the
Right.
neighborhood.
Right. Facts.
Um, so you're grilling during the middle of the week. What's your setup, your go-to setup for
Yeah,
dinner?
so it kind of depends because this is my job. A lot of times what I'm cooking might be for social media, for planning, for posting recipes online on YouTube, etc. So it may not be like what a normal person would cook, but if I'm not cooking for work per se, and if I'm just cooking dinner or just something to eat in the afternoon, a lot of times lately I've been firing up my Ninja grill. They have a new gas grill that you can add pellets to also. But for years, when it's like an easy meal, I'm firing up gas. Whether it was my Weber, now it's my Ninja. Whether it was my Aspire by Heston, like for quick meals, I'm doing gas. But when I really want to barbecue or want to have some good flavors, then I'm leaning towards charcoal. I've got my fire grill. I've got my Brio. I have so many grills. I don't even know. I don't use
How many
pellet too
grills?
often. Yeah, I've got at least 30 right now, but you
There
know,
we go.
yeah, but I don't use pellet grills as often as I thought I would. I really, when I want to have something that's smoked low and slow, I tend to use my Masterbuilt Gravity series because I just like the flavor of charcoal better. And I use cowboy charcoal, and I just like that flavor better than pellets. But occasionally I'll do pellets. If I really don't want to pay attention, I'll throw it on a pellet grill. But otherwise, I'm doing charcoal or gas.
I hear you. And over the years, one thing I've learned, we grew up shoveling coals,
Mm,
old school, making our charcoal burn down and then shoving it under a pit, doing,
yeah.
hogs or whole shoulders or,
Hmm.
big pieces of meat or whatever. But each one of those particular apparatuses has its own unique flavor profile.
Hmm.
And that's what makes the world go around, because everybody's got different taste buds. That's why when you walk in a barbecue store, there's 10,000 different rubs and
Right.
40,000 different sauces, right?
Hmm.
So grills are the same way. Some are a little easier.
Hmm.
And one thing I've learned, they all got to be maintained a little bit.
Yep.
So that's the key for me. When longevity, people say, "Oh, well, they don't last." Well, when's the last time you cleaned it? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
then
Right.
you really get a good answer. But
Yeah.
um, so one piece of barbecue gear that you could not cook or live without, that you need to have every time you cook. What is it?
It's my Thermapen one. Yeah, I probably have like 7 of them. I've got a couple in the trailer, a couple in the house. Every time I travel, there's one with me. And a lot of times when I travel, I'll give one to somebody. Like I did an event in Florida. I was working in a live fire kitchen, and one of the young chefs in there, or young line cooks, didn't have one. And I was like, you know what? Take this. He's like, are you kidding? And he's like, I've been wanting one for so long, but they are a little bit of an investment. I said, what happens is people will go on on Amazon, and they know they want a thermometer or they need a thermometer, and then they'll buy like a $30 one on there. And it doesn't perform like it should. It doesn't give them the results as accurate, as precise. But once you get a Thermapen, I mean, it's so precise. I could go on and on about the certification processes that they do, but it is the tool that I trust no matter what, whether it's at a competition, whether I'm doing a demo, or just cooking in my backyard on a weeknight. Like, it's what guarantees that my food is cooked to the right temperature, so it's going to be exactly how I want to eat it and enjoy it.
Yeah, not only that, it's safe.
Yep.
That's the first thing they teach you in chef school.
Yeah.
Granted, to know, I don't even know where chef school is, but I know enough guys that have talked about it that's the first thing they learn is doneness is temperature, and that's safety rule number 1 is make sure you get it to a certain temperature or whatever. But but without a doubt, the old hand technique, and if you can hold it there for man, give me a thermometer, let me know. I know exactly what's going on then. So gotcha.
For sure.
Well, I tell you what, man, we're going to step away. We're going to pay a few bills, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to futureofq.com, the home of the next generation of barbecue and grilling legends. From young pitmasters to up-and-coming flavor creators, this is where passion meets smoke. Check out the free issues with videos, stories, competitions, and gear that fuel the fire for tomorrow's rising stars. Join the movement now and celebrate the future of Q. Visit futureofq.com today.
Hey guys, back with Christie Vanover, Girls Can Grill, man, in episode 4 already, man, in our interview series, and honored to have Miss Christie join us all the way from Las Vegas, on episode 4, man. It's crazy how this thing is wrapped around pretty quick, and I feel bad. I should have done this 20 years ago probably, but anyway, I'm always a day late and a dollar short, so that
you're in the game now. It's good. You definitely manage several other things, so it's commendable that you've added one more thing to your plate.
Yeah, right. I hear you. Well, so telling folks and introducing you to some of the backyard folks or whatever, but there's a ton of great information. We talked a little bit about that on the, you'll find on the internet as far as good information and helping you take the next step and grill better, make sure you don't, mess up as much. But what is one of the biggest myths that you would like to bust, and you do bust, no doubt, because, man, you've got, golly, tons of information on your website, but what is the one myth that you love busting that more than the rest of them?
I would probably say it's a little bit general, but that there is no one right way. So what you find on social media is that people get so confident in their technique that they tell you that this is the way, this is how you have to do it. And then it teaches people like, oh, this is the only way. And they're afraid to like steer a little left or steer a little right and try something new. And so I think that you just need to approach barbecue. It's an art form, and have an open mind. I mean, think back, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years ago, low and slow brisket was the way, the only way. And now we've gone all the way to hot and fast brisket and hot and fast barbecue on the competition circuit. And some people will swear that's the only way. So you can see there's just this wide scale. Same thing with steak. Like, honestly, one of my pet peeves is that steak has to be medium rare. It doesn't. It has to be whatever way you like it. Like, to me, I like medium rare. I think the texture's better, the flavor's better. Most of my family likes well done steak. I've tried to switch them over. I'm not going to switch them over, and it's okay. That's how they want to eat it. That's how they want to eat it. So I think the myth that I like to bust is that it really, it doesn't have to be one particular way. Play around, understand your meat, understand your pit, and just make good food that people enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Practice has a lot to do with that, and learning. That's why I'm a little bit overweight now, because I finally figured out to cook for my palate. I like a little bit sweet. I like a little bit of heat. And like you say, the steak, I like it medium rare. But I like to get there a little opposite way. I'll start off with a smoke bath, for about 10 minutes, low and slow. And put a little smoke on it, and then I'll flip it over. And most time I'm using 2 different grills to do that, to make that process happen. But man, I think you're absolutely right. I hate to see when people get closed in a box. It's almost like they're in a closet, and and I'm sure what they do is good or whatever, but variety is the spice of life. So
it's just like 3-2-1 ribs. Is 3-2-1 a good method, a good technique? Yes. Is it something that's memorable? Like 3 hours unwrapped, 2 hours wrapped, 1 hour sauced and unwrapped. Yep, it'll work. It'll give you some good fall off the bone ribs, but don't get so focused on the time. What I always am trying to teach is cook to color, cook to temperature, cook it until it's done. If it's done after 30 minutes, it's 3-2.5, then be done with it. Don't force it to put it on there for that extra, that full hour if the meat doesn't want it.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. I mean, one thing I learned early on, and probably learned this from my dad, Doc Gillis, back in the day, but every hog's a little different, so, those ribs, they may not break down the same. So you may have to go an extra 10 minutes or, be checking when it gets close, because they may pop up. Pork butts are very, very temperamental in that way, as far as going through the stall. Some of them will stall different or whatever. But I that closet, there is, you're definitely right. I hate to see those guys get closed in like that. The one deal, they miss out on so much. But and technology, good gracious, man, there's so many different like you said, 30 some cookers. I'm probably 14 or 15 here, but it's getting time for a good clean out. But
Same.
It's it really is. It's fun to me to learn how to do something different and new. And with us doing the rubs and sauces of honor competition, and the AOE with MBBQA competitions, my goodness, there's always something so good that's different. And you think, oh, Lord, teriyaki on beef, really? And that really sometimes it goes good. So I think you're right. If you like it, man, do it. Don't worry about everybody else.
Yeah, make your own rules.
That's it, man. Rule number 1 is have fun, and then everything else is up for grabs after that.
Yep.
Agreed totally. So let's talk about some of the events that you've been a part of and playing. I know we got to work with you a little bit last year before last at Smoke Slam.
Yes.
With B&B Charcoal, getting to do the live fire stuff, man, that stuff is so cool to me.
Yeah.
And I wish I could cook like that all the time, because I would definitely try it. I'd burn up some, I know, but I would definitely try it. It's time consuming. But you also plan some events. You host a couple of events out there. So let's talk a little bit about that, and how you got into that, and what's maybe coming up, what you're planning to do next.
Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, I've definitely organized a couple of SCA competitions, a couple of them with the Nevada Barbecue Association, a few with BBQ. We did the Roll the Dice in April. We've done that for a few years here in Vegas. And then last year, I decided to organize my own KCBS competition. And how that came to be is as I mentioned, I've been competing since 2017. I've been judging since 2016. And we used to have a competition, a KCBS competition every December in Vegas. And then they did some construction in the area, so we couldn't use the site anymore. And then COVID hit. And so then it was like, I think, a good 5 years before we had a competition in Vegas. And we all the local cooks were like, God, somebody's got to have one. And I never wanted to be the one to organize it because I'd want to cook it. But finally, we hit year 5 and I was like, enough is enough. Nobody's going to do it if I don't do it. So let me just figure this out. And Jim Palmer, who's an organizer for several competitions on the West Coast, he took me under his wing, kind of gave me the organizer training, and so I could learn the ropes. And yeah, we kicked it off last year, the first one, and it sold out in just a few hours. And now this is year 2. We have 96 teams right now, also sold out in like 2 days. I could fit more. If I could fit more, we would have more because we have people on the waiting list. I just don't have any more space for this year. But it's really exciting that that the teams are so interested. I think it's because, everybody loves Vegas, but it's fun for me to put this hat on because as a cook, I know what cooks are looking for. As a judge, I know what judges are looking for. So I feel like I can put together a competition that is really, satisfies kind of the wants and wishes of all the teams. And we got a $20,000 prize purse this year, which is up from last year. And always working to get sponsors because that's honestly been the hardest part about being an organizer is that aspect of it. But yeah, excited for that. And then other things coming up. I'm actually helping Al Fragoni with the Texas Open Fire meetup this year. I'm helping to organize some of the team information, some of the sponsor information, demos, panels, all that kind of stuff with his whole team. He's been great to work with. So I'm stoked for that. And yeah, always looking for just new adventures that are out there. And yeah, anything from official competition barbecue to live fire, those are my passions. So,
well, I can tell you this, doing this for 30 some years now, you go to different events and you really know, you can tell who's been there and been around enough when you get to an event, as far as how organized it is, as far as how much is getting done. That's a little bit different. Everybody likes to have something a little different, but catering, you've got 2 crowds you got to cater to. You got to cater to the judges and you got to cater to the cook teams, because an event without either one of those will fall flat on its face quick. But I would think, going to an event, competing or judging, that had somebody with 10, 12, 14 years of experience, that's one of the events I want to go to because they definitely know what's going on. So
well, thank you.
I definitely try to get there for sure on that. And if we can help you anytime, anyway, promote those. But golly, 90-something teams already and got a waiting list. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. We also have 140 judges already with a wait list for that as well. And the thing that I'm really proud of with that is that with KCBS, you can be a CBJ, but then there's also the J Cup certification, which is the I can't remember what it stands for right now, but it's basically the updated course. Even if you've been a CBJ for years, you need to take the updated course. And I do require all of my judges at Barbecue Jackpot to be J Cup certified. And I've had a few who've registered and they're like, oh, I haven't taken it, but I've been a master judge. I have 100 cooks under my belt. And I still require it because teams are cooking to those standards. So I want my judges to know the most up-to-date standards. And I'm proud that we have 140 judges who are CBJs and J Cup certified. I think that's really important for the teams, and it makes the judges better judges. So,
absolutely. I mean, that's one of the worst things in the world you can do is try to come to a barbecue event and then they go out in the street and try to find somebody to judge, which, and not knocking that if that's what's going to happen ahead of time. Right. And I know that, when you get to Texas, a lot of times they'll open it up for public. Heck, man. One of my favorite events to judge is the Houston Livestock Show every year. And you walk in and there's a full bar and they ask you, can we take your drink order? And I'm like, yeah, you can. Absolutely. And, but everybody there knows exactly what's going on, and that's
Yes.
what's happening.
Mhm.
And then the cooks can prepare for that.
Right.
So I'm 100% all about that for sure. You know,
Thanks.
if you're going to do a certified event, you make sure your judges are as certified as you can get, and
Yep.
then your teams kind of know what to expect.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I judge the Jack, there's definitely a variety. There's people who are master CBJs, there's people who are CBJs like myself. I'm not a master yet, but I'm also a cook and I know that whole side of the game. And then there's others who maybe just got their certification the day before. But like you said, the
Right.
teams know that going in, and KCBS and the Jack do a great job of balancing a table. So there will not
Yes.
be like 5 new people at a table. It's going to be very evenly
Right.
distributed. But yeah, same thing. The teams know, okay, here's what I'm walking into. And so, yeah, they know at Barbecue Jackpot, they are walking into a cadre of CBJs with J-Cup certification, and they're ready to bring their A game. So I'm excited.
Hey, that's awesome. That is awesome. I can't wait to try to get there for one of those deals for sure.
Yeah,
So
we'd love to have you.
hey, awesome, man. Well, with that, we're going to take a quick break, pay a bill or two, and we'll be right back.
Do you love barbecue? Join the National Barbecue and Grilling Association, host of Now That's Smokin' the Interview series. As the industry's heartbeat since 1991, we connect pit masters and enthusiasts with needed resources, events, and community. Managed by Kel Phelps, your host of this series, membership unlocks insider tips and networking for any barbecue lover. Sign up at nbbqa.org and start fueling your passion today, because every grill deserves a champion running it. Now that's Smokin'.
All right, here we go. Back from the break. Christie Vanover joining us, episode 4 of Now That's Smokin' interview series, and been talking a little bit about different events and different things. And I can tell you guys, if you're kind of new to the barbecue world, you definitely want to go check her out. I didn't know you were an author. I went and saw the books on Amazon. I think there's 7 of them now. So tell us how all that got come about, and where they can find more information on those things.
Sure. So my background actually before barbecue is that I have journalism degrees. I have my master's in journalism and mass communications from Kansas State University. So I've been a journalist most of my career, and I also transitioned into public relations and marketing and media management with social media for the federal government. That's what I did for 20 years. And about probably 2018 or so, I wanted to publish my first cookbook. I'm a photographer, a writer, a recipe developer. Like, it just seemed natural that that's where I was ready to go. And I honestly couldn't find any publishers who were interested in, some of them weren't interested in publishing a barbecue book from a woman. And that's just part of the things that you face. But others just didn't feel like it was the right time. So, then COVID hit, and then there was kind of a lull and everything. And then I finally realized I have the skills. I know layout and design. I published magazines for a living. I know how to write. I know how to do all this. So why don't I just do it? And Amazon offers a program called KDP, where anybody can basically just upload a PDF file of your book. And that's what I did. So last October, I published my first cookbook, which was Holiday Grilling. And it's got 111 recipes that you can cook on your grill for every holiday, from Thanksgiving to Christmas to St. Patrick's Day. And then just this last couple months ago, I published my second printed cookbook, which it's called Ignited Q, and it's how to do different recipes on the Ninja Flex Flame, that new gas grill I was talking about. And then I also have ebooks that are specifically for the Ninja Flex Flame. And then I've also published a couple of log books for competitive cooks, whether you're SCA cook or KCBS cook. They are logbooks where you can write down your scores, kind of the notes from each cook. And that way you can go back and you can look like, what scored well? Why did it score well? Maybe I got a 7 that day. Why was it? Well, if you go back to your logbook, it'll tell you, oh, well, you know what? It was raining. Humidity was horrible. Whatever you wrote down, those notes, so that you can realize, okay, maybe my flavor profile wasn't so bad. It was just that this is what happened that day. And you can test that flavor profile again. So yeah, I've been using Amazon KDP to my advantage, to basically not have to work with any publishers and just get the information that I want to get out there, out to the world.
You know what? Several folks have asked me my opinion about that. And man, listen, as far as if you can cut people out of it, then you got more control over what's going on, and then you don't have to worry about them cutting the best part of the book out. So, but kudos, hats off to you for doing that and making that stuff available. Because, man, I'm telling you, that is, I think that's the future. I mean, I know, you know, I didn't actually know that you were a magazine publisher and printer and knew all this stuff. I would have probably, I would have probably been asking a whole different series of questions or whatever. Like, do you want a job? You want a job? You know, we hire all the time, but when you said journalism degree, that just cut it out, because I am nowhere near a journalist or whatever. We just have fun with what we're doing. But it is great to talk to somebody who's got that intel or whatever. So we'll talk on the side, and you can give me some pointers on the journalism side of what we need to do.
Sounds good. No, I love getting your magazine every month. It's great.
That's cool. Good deal. So let's talk about your accomplishment. What if you had to say, of all the aspects, and I mean, girl, we've talked all about it, all the different aspects that you're in the barbecue world. What is the one accomplishment that you are most proud of to date?
The first one was making it to the Jack as a cook, not just a judge. And that was in 2022 when I got my first time to compete there. And then I was fortunate enough to cook again in 2023. And I've been associated with the Jack for so many years as a cook. I mean, excuse me, as a judge. And I've live streamed the awards for years as a judge. You know, I sit in the audience and do that. And so then the first year that I cooked, my goal at every competition, no matter what level it is to have fun and to get one call. And I know people say, isn't your goal to win? Well, I mean, that's my underlying goal. But honestly, if I'm not having fun, then I shouldn't be doing it. And if I don't get at least one call, then I need to figure out what I'm doing too, because it's a pretty expensive sport. So those were my two goals. Well, at the Jack, getting a call is, you know, pretty hard. So I entered every single ancillary, hoping at least if it was a call in sauce, I'd be fine with it. Well, it got down to, well, I should take that back. The first category that they announced was cocktail, and my team did win cocktail, and I was super stoked for that, although it wasn't my recipe. So even though I was thrilled that our team got it, I didn't feel like it was really my win as Christie. It was a Girls Can Grow win as the team, but I still wanted that one more call of something that I cooked. And we got through all the ancillaries, we got through all of the first three meats, and I'm thinking, I know my brisket was good, but this is the hardest category there is. Like a call in brisket at the Jack, I don't know. And then it got through the ribbons, because at the Jack, it's 1 through 5 is barrel heads, and then 6 through 10 is ribbons. And I got through the ribbons, and I was like, I don't know. And then they called me 5th place brisket, and I wept. I just ran up to the stage to get that barrel head. And that was probably, and my whole family was there. And I mean, we were just all so emotional. That's probably so far been the highlight of my competition side of things. And then I would say my second highlight is being on the Food Network and being on Barbecue Brawl, but totally different type of experiences. But yeah, both of them are pretty high spots for me.
I would say that the average barbecue team with both of those experiences would probably be ready to, call it a career, being able to accomplish both of those things. Because that's something doesn't happen every day. So congrats on all of that. But golly,
thank you.
The Jack, man, that is, I would say a call at the Jack is as good as it gets, just because of you get a draw. Of course, if you folks that don't know, you have to win a state championship. Then that just gets your name into the pot for that state. And then they have to draw your name out to represent that state. So, but yeah, that's huge. No doubt. I would think I could hang my hat on that and maybe ride off into the sunset. But,
well, I'm not done yet.
I hear you, girl. You go. All right. So we talked a little bit about failing. And I'm one. If they'd have had YouTube back in high school, man, I'd have been probably close to valedictorian, because I learned by watching. When I see somebody do it, I got it. But I learn a lot by failing. So, what do you think your biggest barbecue fail is? Whether that's a cook or maybe even a trip. Golly, as much as y'all stay on the road, I'm sure y'all got some horrendous road tales from the road.
Yeah, I have a tendency to go into barbecue competitions and try something for the first time. And people are like, why don't you practice? Why aren't you doing something that you know? And I kind of get bored with the same old, and I like living on the wild side, I guess. So twice now I've gone to barbecue competitions using a smoker, two different smokers, two different occasions, for the first time at a comp. One year I took a Traeger. This was early on, probably 2018. I got one of the new huge Traegers, and I was like, I can do all the meats on here. This is going to be great. Well, I didn't know much about what I was doing in barbecue back then, and I didn't level it, and the grease all went to the fire pot, and the whole thing caught on fire in the middle of a competition. Fortunately, I brought a little WSM as well and had that on the side, and I saved it enough to turn in some boxes, but they were really bad. And then recently I did another cook where I usually cook on drum smokers. I usually cook on 3, and I only brought 2, and I brought a different grill that I wanted to try this new method, and it would not hit temp. It would not hit 400 degrees, which is what I wanted to start something at. And they said it was probably altitude. I don't really know, but it definitely, I got like second to last in brisket that day because it was bad. And I kind of got in my head, instead of like adapting and just taking it off the smoker, I was like, I'm going to get it to work on this thing. And, yeah, it didn't. So unfortunately, when I choose to fail, it's at semi-big events. They weren't championships or anything, but definitely at costly events. But like I said, I like to try things and experiment with things. And if you don't try, then it just gets boring. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
It's almost like racing. You talked about the log books and being consistent. Man, when I drag raced in the early 90s, we had a pretty good notebook, and it didn't matter, what the weather was. We knew what that car was going to do because we had run it enough, and we could, check the altitude, check the temperature, check the humidity, and we knew where we were at. Same thing with the log books that you got going, but consistency is it's a must when you compete. So when you say you try new stuff, that is that's pretty impressive to try new stuff at an event. It's cool because I'm the same way too. I get very bored with just the salt, pepper, garlic, on the steak, and 4,000 degrees, 30 seconds, flip it, 30 seconds more, flip it again.
Yeah.
I get pretty bored with that too. So,
well, let me tell you. So I'm on multiple kind of groups. So I'm part of this judges call that happens once a month. Brian DeCou out here on the West Coast, he hosts these with any CBJ who's interested can join in on his webinars that he does once a month. And so there's mostly judges. And since I'm a judge, I'm part of it, but I'm also a cook. And one of the questions came up is, why are the cooks turning in the same flavor profile? Everybody's doing like Kansas City Sweet, Blues Hog or Head Country or whatever, where everybody's doing the same flavor profiles. And they're like, why aren't people changing things up? And I said, I'll answer that as a cook, even though it's a judge's call. It's because we're scared of you. We're scared of judges, because if we change things, you're expecting a certain thing, even though that's the rules are the opposite of that. And if somebody turns in something so unique, then we're afraid you're going to give us that 7 in taste. And they were like almost unanimous on the call. No, we won't. We want to try something new. There's so much culture in barbecue. We want to see something different. I said, okay, we're going to do this. So for 2 contests, I did Asian ribs, and they were like, a teriyaki style glaze. I do cook a lot of Asian food. And the first time I turned it in, 3 judges gave me a perfect score. 1 judge gave me 6s. And I was like, see this. Now, fortunately, that's a low score, and it dropped. And I ended up 11th place in ribs with that one. And I was pleased. I was like, okay, maybe I'll try this again. I'll do this again. Did it at another competition in another state, bombed. And they didn't need to bomb because of like they were cooked fine. They would have, if they were Kansas
Right.
City style, they probably would have gotten 8s and 9s, but they didn't. They got 7s. I might have even got a 6 again. And my fellow cooks were like, how do you have the balls to do that? Like, you're walking in and just throwing money away because they're not going to give you 9s no matter what. And I said, no, I want to prove it wrong. They say they want it. I'm going to do it. I got nothing to lose other than money. I mean, I guess, but let's just change the game. And after that one, I think I got like 23rd in ribs, and I was like, I'm not doing it. I was like, I tried, judges. I tried. But
first time I cooked the steak at the shed, I did the same thing. I had a fire pit, and when I cook at home, if I could, I would burn down pecan. We call them pecan here in South Georgia, but I would burn down coals, take a broom and fan, get the dust off the coals, and throw my steak right on the coals. I love that. That's it's called a buffalo trough, and learned that when I was a young kid at a church. They would do 4,500 plates a year, and stack all this wood. They'd be in these big fire suits with pitchforks, and that was and that's the best steak I ever eat. So I tried that one year at the shed. I just did the back side, and then the presentation side, of course, I pulled off and I put it on the grill grates, to get the diamonds on there and turn that thing in. And I was close to DAL. I don't know if I wasn't DAL, but
wow.
A lot of people knew what I was doing, and they were like, "Man, you're crazy. You're crazy." I said, "Yeah, but this is what's good, So this is what I like." So anyway, when you get to a competition, it doesn't really matter what you like, even.
Right.
But trying something different is not all bad, and I know. As a whole, and I love that group, Brian and that crew, man. I join on those calls and get to just sit in and listen, and love to hear feedback from those guys. Not only because they're judges, but because they're on the West Coast, and things are so much different there. I've recently figured out how to cook a good tri-tip, and I know that's where that started out there. So.
Well, if I could real quick, I do need to give a West Coast plug. So for those of you who haven't heard, BMAC and BBQ, who's out of California, just pulled a KCBS record-breaking high score. They got a 718 at a competition just this last weekend in California. They had 3 180s and pulled a 718. So broke a record. They also RGC'd at the Jack a couple years ago, I think 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But
that's
just kind of out of nowhere West Coast team, totally representing in KCBS. So congrats to Brett and Benny and the whole team.
Oh my gosh. That is huge.
Yeah. Really, really big. They're great guys too.
718. That's 3 180s.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow. That'd be Now
that's gonna be hard to beat
right there. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, cool. So we know we talked a little bit about social media, and we hit on it a little bit. You guys have a great presence there. I love watching some of the reels. I'm a reel guy. I'm a 30-second minute, show me what you got, how you started. And then if I like it, then I can always go and watch the long version, whatever.
Yeah.
But I love watching you guys short version on some of that stuff. And it gets me ready for game day. I'm a huge tailgater here at home. And
awesome.
But what on social media side, where has your most viral post come from, and what resonated? What kept it there? What made it go viral?
I wish I knew the exact answer. There is like no consistency with what goes viral and what doesn't, especially from platform to platform. So early on in TikTok, my post would go viral. I had a post of just like prepping ribs, just like taking the silver skin off, and that went like 3 million views. And I haven't hit 3 million views on TikTok since then. I had a short with a whole hog cook when I was at From the Ashes Idaho, which was an event they used to do in Idaho. that got like 5 million views on, I think, YouTube Shorts. On TikTok, though, I had one video go viral. I was so mad. I was making these viral cinnamon rolls. Didn't really have anything to do with grilling other than I cooked them on the grill. But I found that there was 2 types of cinnamon rolls in the cans, and one was like cinnamon biscuits and one was rolls. And so I just shared. I'm like, look what I just realized. I got the wrong cinnamon rolls. And that got like 1.5 million views. So yeah, there's like no rhyme or reason other than people seem to be attracted to like big, sexy pieces of meat. So that always like tends, or like buttery, cheesy, really indulgent things. But more and more, I've tried to just share like educational things. Like sometimes I forget that the basic tips are the tips that people need. So one post I did that got some really good traction a few months ago is I just told people that one of the preps I do on Friday for barbecue competitions is that's when I tear all my foil for my ribs, all of my foil for my, pork butts and all that stuff. I tear it all on Friday so that Saturday I'm not trying to rip it and find it and find out I'm out of foil maybe at the last minute. And that post went crazy. So it's just proof that some of those just really simple things that are just second nature to us, like sharing that kind of information is something that can go viral.
Well, I can tell you, I learned a lot. The butter trick was pretty cool. I mean, cutting that butter in half. And if you don't butter your ribs or your chicken, I'm sorry. You got to try that.
Yes.
But doing that the night before, man, you don't realize it's almost like being able to skin your ribs or trim them. Golly, the worst thing in the world is chicken skin, trying to scrape the skin and all that. But being able to do that ahead of time makes those events so much more fun when you you don't feel like just slammed in your trailer all the time, give you a chance to get out and get around. So,
yeah. And then if something does go wrong in your timeline, you got a little more cushion. Yeah.
I need a lot of cushion when I can. Most of the time I need a parachute because I'm fixing to burn. But hey, so of all the social media, we talked a little bit about social media, but what is your favorite platform to post on?
I would say lately it's been YouTube. I love Instagram. Instagram is kind of my foundation. It's where I have the most followers and it's where I have the most connections via DM. Like I'm messaging with friends and stuff on Instagram. So that's still probably my primary platform, but I have been posting now long form videos every Sunday on YouTube, along with shorts and, along those lines. But I do like video production. I used to work for NBC for a couple of years and did video production for them. And so that just comes naturally. And it's another way for me to teach people things. And like you said earlier, I can do the short where it's 30 seconds. And then if you do want to click through and get the full on video, then that's there for you. So for those who really want to just throw it on their TV and watch it, kind of like we used to watch Food Network cooking shows, which they're not really cooking shows anymore. Now they're all competition shows. So kind of taking it back to that.
I hear you. Are you an AI girl?
I am, not for production, but I definitely like to use ChatGPT to my advantage to help brainstorm some things, help me with organization, kind of like having a virtual assistant with some organization. And like I'll feed it. It's all about what you feed it. So like I'll feed it, okay, here's the food holidays for October, like National Barbecue Day or Sunday Day or whatever it is. And then I'll be like, and it knows me now. It knows enough about my website and my style, and it will help me like come up with ideas for like, here's an idea for a post for that day. But other than that, content and recipes and all that still this brain. But
I hear you.
But it's definitely it's ways to save time for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Well, it takes our country slang out of us. It makes us sound a little more official sometimes.
You can tell it you want slang. I can tell it if I want it to be sassy or sarcastic or
Oh yeah.
You can tell it. Throw a little country boy in your response, please, ChatGPT.
There you go. There you go. Hey, well, listen, Christie, we appreciate you so much taking the time out today and talking to us. And man, listen, if you don't know, you got to go check out girlscangrill.com. It's probably one of the most informative sites. If you're just wanting to learn basic barbecue, with the idea on how to get better and not fail and get out of the box per se, that's your place, and go check her out for sure. But Christie, appreciate you hanging out with us today,
Thank
and
you.
look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, I think I'm going to join your live stream when you do the awards for the rub contest. So we'll see how that goes coming up here soon.
Yeah. All right. Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, we appreciate it. And hey, listen, that's a wrap there, man. Episode 4, Christie Vanover, man. And if you I'm telling you guys, if you want to learn some barbecue tricks, some different tricks, that leaves an open door where to put your signature on what you got going on, Miss Christie's got it figured out. And she's definitely open and willing to share that with you through her website. And if you're lucky enough to be out west, man, catch her at some of those events she's at. She is an awesome person, but she's also a great teacher, and just like an open book, man. So with that, we're going to get out of here, guys. But until next time, you guys keep it smoking.
From serious backyarders to caterers, food trucks, and restaurants, cookersandgrills.com builds custom barbecue pits to fit your needs. We're talking top-of-the-line smokers, grills, and mobile units. Custom built to your specs, finished right, and ready to feed any crowd. Cookersandgrills.com, where great barbecue begins.
Thanks for joining me, Kel Phelps, on this journey with Now That's Smokin' interview series. A big thank you to our amazing guests and to you for listening and checking us out. Share your thoughts or questions with hashtag Now That's Smokin'. Subscribe now for more barbecue tales coming, and catch us next time for another deep dive into the heart and soul of everything barbecue and grilling. Until then, keep it smoking.